Hey guys, it's Saturday, July 8th, I think. Yeah, it's the 8th. Making my way out to Tampa. One of Rocco's graduation gifts was a concert for tonight. Go see Matchbox 20. Shit weather, traffic, typical between Orlando and Tampa. So I thought now would be a good time to post a message. I have a lot of things going on in my world. I'm going to try to be not specific as possible, not name names, and just speak as honest as I can, and just kind of get to the point. A lot of things going on in my life. I'll start just with me. I've surrounded myself with people that, although they're given the label as family, it doesn't mean that I view them as family. It doesn't matter what their title is. If you gave birth to me, if you're my sibling, if you're a second relative, it really doesn't matter to me. But there's been people in my family. There's been other people that I've surrounded myself in my world for the last 7-8 years, who are not solely to blame. I don't think blame is the right terminology to use, because I think ultimately it all comes down to me and who I am, where I come from, what maybe I didn't fix about myself earlier in my life, and so I'll take the hit for that. But I've surrounded myself with people who didn't want to, didn't listen, didn't choose to do the things that were best to help me heal. Unfortunately, that goes down to the people closest to me. Again, I'm not naming names, I'm not naming titles. You can put two and two together who you want. And over the last 2, 3, 4 weeks or so, it's kind of taking things to a whole new level, to where the things that I'm feeling internally are manifesting themselves at a rapider pace to where it's harder for me to handle. I do go to therapy. Therapy has been helpful to an extent. I don't go to therapy as often as I'd like, and that's just due to the availability of the therapist I see. And it is what it is. There's no finger pointing. I'm not anything like that. If I'm pointing fingers at anybody, I'll point them at myself, because this is probably something I should have attempted to conquer years ago. I didn't, and nobody else is to blame. As a parent myself, if I would have seen these signs or warning signs, or if I were to have my kids share with me things that I've shared with my family, I know I would have handled them differently, but it is what it is. That being said, I'm going to press pause. I'm going to press pause is the best way to say it. If I decide to press play at some point in the future, If I decide to press stop at some point in the future, that's up to me. I've decided about a year ago, nobody really controls what I do except me. I can't blame anybody for decisions that I've made in the past. Nobody's controlled me to the point where I had a gun to my head or a knife to my throat and said, you have to do this. You know, as a child and as a teenager, I did what I thought, was the right thing to do based on things that were told to me. But now as an adult, 20s, 30s, now 44 years old, a parent of 2 teenage kids. All right, one's an adult technically, 18, the other's 15. I'm in the process of pressing pause, regrouping, and deciding what is best for me. There are many people who I've allowed to be in my orbit. I've allowed to be in my orbit because I thought they would be beneficial in my life. Some have been, some have not been. But I will say that I'm at the crossroads of pressing stop and just kind of sitting on pause for a while, and I'm not sure really where I'm going. I'll shift gears for a second and bring up the Home Runs for Hope Foundation. Plans are still in place for the boys and I to go to Chicago, go on to Milwaukee, and then Rocco and I go on to Pittsburgh in September. Those are still plans. Flights are booked, hotels are booked. Plans are made with the organizations. I can say this to you, and it may sound like I'm coming across very black and white without emotion, and that's just really where I'm at this point. I don't know that I will allow myself to get that far in the process. I have not yet to conquer those people that who even after this long have continued to bring me down or put me down or try to keep me in a vulnerable, sensitive environment. And again, I blame myself for that, for not being strong enough for that. So I really don't know where things are going to go with that. Things are still in place. I haven't canceled anything. But if you know me, sometimes I do things on a moment's notice. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. And that's just how I've worked. I apologize for the noise in advance. It's fucking pouring on this drive. So I apologize. I can try to make this thing louder.